Go ahead.
So we're back. Twisted Pair is back, and we're here for our first show. We're going to be talking, is tarot evil? And I do have some notes. I don't know if Chris brought his notes. Chris, do you have any notes today?
Yes.
What?
In the journal, 4 little bullet notes. Tarot is evil. Tarot is a parlor game. It's ritual and reading tarot important. Shuffling, correct way?
Wow. Okay, so you
Ah,
came prepared.
I
And I do
am.
know you have some
Props.
visuals
Yes,
to
thank
also
you.
show us, which is awesome. Awesome. So we are going to talk about, is tarot evil?
Hmm.
I think if you're a tarot reader, you always come across that from the general public. They're always saying, that's wrong, that's evil, that's work of the devil, and all that stuff. So we're going to talk about tarot, maybe give you a little history, a little walk down memory lane. I was saying to Christopher, a little walk down memory lane to give it just a brief history of tarot. It's been around a long time, and so it's not as scary as one would think. So let's take a walk down memory lane. And I know I'm going to be counting on, well, we're going to work together on this, of course, but
Okay.
we are going to talk about what we know about the history of tarot to bring it up to now. It doesn't have to be a long thing.
Okay.
So I'll start it, Chris, and see if you could pick up on it. And
I'll
if not,
interrupt.
then I'll just keep going.
I'll interrupt you at points. Okay.
Well, the tarot has been around since Renaissance? What years? Renaissance? Does that sound?
That's the common impression, but could have also been in Egypt. Could come some anyway. Renaissance.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
And when you look at there's a lot of books of the history of tarot, and they say different things. So it's kind of like, we don't know.
Nobody knows, right?
Nobody knows. But it was a playing card game. It was playing cards. It was a card game. And it was, I believe it was a card game for people with, like royalty, people that had money. Is that your impression that you
maybe my impression's a little bit that perhaps the 56 playing cards came from somewhere else, maybe in India, like a Malamuk deck, whatever. But the other cards, the ones that got painted and got fancy for the aristocrats, the wealthy, probably were during the Renaissance, and they just somehow all that got merged together to become 78 cards, right?
So the rich people, medieval, they were the majors. Were those the major arcana?
Yes, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So then over the years, people traveled. There were travelers, and the cards were taken from one place to another, and so they traveled all throughout Europe. And we're in a lot of different places. And then at some point, they began with the divination aspect to it. And it was a playing card deck. Now, was it divination in India? Do you think they used it more for divination, or no? Did they use it for divination with the and either one of those Indian groups or the aristocrats?
Right, games of chance. Yeah. Or just games to play with family or friends, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I would think, but I've never seen it said otherwise, but
but
I'm not sure.
Now, the thing about the tarot, which is interesting, somewhere along the line, they started using it for divination, but I think that was quite a ways down. I mean, it was probably only a few hundred years ago, or maybe 200 years ago.
As far as we know, yeah.
Yeah. Before that, it was used as playing cards.
Yeah, and before cards, there would have been all sorts of other types of divination.
Right.
Lots, casting things, rocks, birds, whatever.
Right.
There were all kinds of other options.
Mm-hmm. And then when they started using it more for divination, there was also, it started to get imbued with symbolism and mysticism from other religions, actually. So other religions if you look at some of the decks, you'll see little vestiges of religious aspects to the cards that were picked up along the way.
A lot of symbolism. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of symbolism.
And it was from Jewish, Christian, Islamic. They all have their little footprint in tarot.
Right.
And there was mysticism in those religions that probably now, well, they still have the Kabbalah, they still have other mysticism in religions, but they don't talk much about it, but it's there.
Right.
Anyway, so then it came over, well, it also expanded to other types of religions, maybe, later on, we're talking about the last 100 years maybe. It became used with Wicca, with study of Wicca, paganism, the Celtics kind of, there's a lot of Celtic information in a tarot deck. There's spirituality, the occult, the fortune telling. So all that stuff started coming in a little bit later. Right?
Sometimes you see rune symbols added in newer decks. You'll see astrology signs added in newer decks. You see some more deliberate modern symbolism in decks.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So a lot of stuff was getting rolled into the tarot.
Right. So the tarot is just, it still only has the 78 cards and has the major arcana and the minor arcana, and that's always stayed the same. But over the years, it keeps mutating depending on the culture and where it's being shown and where it's being read. And there's a lot of and there's a lot of interesting there's a lot of interesting things that happen with the decks over the years. And so it's not unusual to see that now there's attachment to the cult. There's attachment to, this where the religions of the world, like certain religions, are sort of looking at it askance and saying, well, this is not, what is this? This is the devil's workshop, or this is anti-religion and all this stuff. So there's coming up with a feeling about it that it's evil, it's an evil. Right. Now, so I don't know what Chris thinks about the cards, but my personal take is, they're cards, they're pieces of paper, and it's whatever you want to, the meaning you want to put on is the meaning you want to put on, and you can put all kinds of meaning on these cards if you choose to, but they're just really just paper. Now, a lot of people that read tarot don't feel that at all. They feel some people think that the cards actually have power. That's and so you'll get a lot of different viewpoints from tarot readers, people that do tarot.
Right.
So is tarot evil
No.
in today's world?
You can take a dust bunny under your bed could be evil. Evil is coming from us. It's not in an inanimate object like a piece of paper with some ink smeared on it.
Right.
Even though more and more they're not really pieces of paper, they're more like plastic. But anyway, it's not exactly alive kind of thing, and it's not trying to grab you and do something with you or the people around you. That's you causing the evil. If there is evil to be caused from something like divination, I don't know. Depends on your viewpoint.
Mm-hmm. Now, the interesting thing about tarot is it has been around for so long. It has that 78 card aspect to it, and people this century, last century, centuries earlier can recognize the tarot deck, which is really remarkable.
Even though the systemization of it, is that the right word?
Right.
Has evolved over time. I can see it change just in my lifetime. What some of the younger people have added and trying to make it more of a fixed system. Sometimes they go astray a little bit and try to make it all love and light and all that, maybe too much, but that's fine. Right. I just think there's some of both light and dark in almost every card.
Mm-hmm.
Just depends.
But it's the interpretation. It's the
right.
It's up to that person, I think, that how they choose to see those.
Right.
Although some people, look at the book and say, oh yeah, these cards. My nephew, he pulled the death card and he died in a car accident the very next day. He did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, spontaneity or synchronicity or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And of course, it causes people to do a lot of magical thinking. The problem now, so I don't feel it's evil. Some people, I think certain religions would, they don't want people to believe in anything that's not their religion. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of that. It's verboten, it's forbidden. In fact, Chris pulled up this thing from the catechism from the Catholicism, and it's like, I don't know when this was taken, but it says very specifically, you know, all this stuff is really bad. All forms of divination are to be rejected.
All forms.
Yeah. They contradict the honor, respect, and loving fear that we owe to God alone.
Yeah, we're not entitled to controlled time, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we can, but
yeah.
I don't know.
So, so there's different people, and the thing about tarot is, now that I've been immersed in the tarot world, not for long actually. Chris has been involved much longer than I am, because he's been involved since he was a young boy, you know.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, I have met people that are doing tarot, and it's like they give their power to it, and that's where it can be dangerous.
You should
it's
never.
Not evil. It's just dangerous.
You should trust in whatever yourself. You shouldn't diminish yourself or disempower yourself in response to some object outside of yourself. That's how I see it.
Right.
But I also, well, I probably shouldn't go into this. This is off our subject a little bit. But another reason I don't see it as evil is, for me, the cards are like a point of departure, a place to start. It's more of the connection with the other person, which is why I don't do the remote things. I don't have an issue with them, obviously, since I've purchased over 120 readings from various people. So I don't have a problem with it, but I can't see that as something that I would ever do. Maybe that's the clearest way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
But I have found it interesting, obviously. Why would I keep getting so many darn readings and have so many darn cards? I find it intriguing, interesting. It's a different approach that people are using.
Right.
And part of it, you can't always get to somebody. So I can see that too, you know?
Yeah. So when I started reading, when I started doing tarot, I was just sort of interested in the art, and, you know, it's like, oh, it's been around a long time. I was sort of curious about it.
There's a lot of nice art.
The art's amazing.
Yeah,
and it just keeps getting amazing, you know, as time goes on. Well, in the past, but even now in the future, great artists doing great, amazing things with the decks and stuff. So you could just collect the decks for their art alone.
Yeah. That's nice.
But what I learned, I have a little thing on my website now. I'm doing a series on how to read tarot, learning how to read tarot. And I talk about the Fool's Journey, and that's what got me interested in the tarot. I think you can get locked into the tarot in many different ways and many different aspects of it. But so for me, it's like the Fool is the first card in the Major Arcana, and it's kind of his journey through life. It's kind of all of our journeys through life, all the different stages we go through, how we learn, how we grow, the stumbling blocks we have, how we overcome things. And so for me, it's a very practical kind of thing. It's sort of a tool you could use to kind of access, you know, why do you do what you do? You know, you pull a card and it makes you think. If you pull certain cards, it makes you think how that could be affecting your life, and what you can do to change things.
It can be useful.
It can be useful.
The connection that I was talking about between me and somebody else doesn't have to be an actual somebody else. It can be me and me. I'm a person. I'm a person to a person. It might be a lot harder to connect that way, in a manner of speaking, because you're having to go within and do whatever it is people are always talking about on YouTube, your inner child.
Mm-hmm. Shadow work,
loving yourself. Yeah, the shadow thing. Oh gosh,
spirit guides,
all this stuff. But that's really just you and a part of you, and that same that's you is also applying if there was somebody sitting there beside you or in front of you. I prefer beside, but typically they're across the table. I think for most, when you do in-person readings, they're across the table from you, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was more creepy about it. I'd start out across the table from you and make my way around the table to you, almost like kind of a getting closer so that you could see that sort of thing.
Yeah, and you can see the cards together. You can both see them in the same direction.
Then they're not upside down to me, right?
Right, yeah.
Although I've seen people do them upside down to the person they're talking to, because they're just assuming that person doesn't know what these are about. I'm supposed to explain it to you.
Right. Yeah.
But that's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they will talk, if you allow them, that person you're doing a reading for will have something to say because they see something.
Right.
Something in some of the cards applies and they recognize it. I'm not saying that happens all the time, but it did happen.
Right. Yeah.
So,
When you're working with someone, I mean, and then you're going through I mean, that's what it is helpful. So when I read, I pull the cards and we talk about the cards. You know, it's a discussion really. Well, this is this card. What do you think of it? What do
yeah,
you see in it? What is, and
yeah,
then we kind of like bring it back to them and how does it generate any thoughts or any feelings or any memories or anything like that. So it's kind of a tool to bring things, to have a conversation going.
Yeah, it's conversation starter is one way to look at it.
Yeah.
But there's probably more there than that. But you know, because you're connecting to that person, you're spending time, sharing time, some precious moments. Since we all have a limited lifespan, you're sharing some moments with that person, and it might help them, or they might just reject the whole thing. But at the same time, you're spending that time with yourself, and you might catch something. Something might be helpful to you that's not, and I guess it doesn't have to be helpful, but that's precious, that act of being there. Yeah, I think that's me.
It's more like almost a counseling session, just getting people to talk and sharing your thoughts about things.
I just never wanted to be on a pedestal or up on a podium like you're talking. You see what is it? The Hierophant card. I just didn't want to be that where, you're like reaching down, touching people on the head or, there's no reason for that. I'm a person. They're a person.
Yeah.
We're just using tarot to maybe help each other.
Right.
Maybe. Is that?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think the purpose is. Now, some people, we talked about, why people why they look for tarot readers and why they go to tarot readers. And I think that's interesting too, because some people, it seems to me, some people just don't feel like they have control of their lives. So they're looking for answers outside themselves. And,
well, we all get dazed and confused, right? Life
can
hurl some rocks at you, right?
Yeah, for sure. And we all, we don't need that.
I didn't see that coming, but used to, I would think that it wasn't a majority, it wasn't a lot of people seeking answers through tarot or psychic people. Maybe that's changed. It seems like it has. I don't know if that's all hype, but it seems like more people talk about tarot if YouTube's an indication.
Yeah, it seems like it's more popular than it used to be. I mean, I think because it's booming, and the decks. I mean, the decks that are come out every week. There's probably
why would they be making them
around the world?
Somebody didn't buy those. They probably they don't care if you used them, but somebody's buying those. Why else would they keep going? And the books. Look at well, I won't show them. So there's a lot of tarot books.
Yeah.
A lot of divination books. There's just a lot on that in that area.
But I guess my point is that, it's a problem when people don't feel empowered, and it's when they're depending on the cards to empower them in some kind of way. So that's what my problem is. Of course, how do you empower people? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they have to go through that process to figure out, how they get their power back. Because I believe people have free will, even though we get all kinds of stuff is thrown at us where we don't think we have control. But I think we really do have control. And I think sometimes tarot is not evil, but it can be dangerous if someone's very
if you're getting manipulated by a reader,
and that's for sure.
And the point of the reader is to get you to cough up some more bucks.
Yeah, that's a real problem.
But then again, I've known at least one, maybe two, who it wasn't about the bucks, the dollars, because where I was at, there was no charge, but it was more about the getting in their head and the manipulation of the person. Like that was some sort of, whoa, this is fun for me. Maybe not so fun for that person.
Yeah, that's
Maybe,
scary when that
yeah,
happens.
yeah, that's not.
That's like that's like a religious
I
experience.
would, of the two types of experiences, I'd prefer the one that's just after my money, other than the one that's climbed into my head and
Yeah,
rearranging the furniture or whatever they're doing.
yeah,
I could stop this. Well, I'm out of money. I guess I won't be going back there. This one, how do now you got an extra problem on top of the problem you may have already had, or
it's
problem.
like mind control. It exists in every aspect of our lives. We wake up and we're bombarded. We're
Yeah.
bombarded by tarot readers. We're bombarded by religion. We're bombarded by advertising.
And
We're bombarded by all this stuff, and somehow we got to forge through it and figure out who we are. And
it
it's
works
it's
both ways. They might be
Mhm.
kind of in their own little trap. The reader's trapped in that sense of manipulation, and the person being manipulated is trapped in that.
Yeah.
I think this is helping. I'm not. Is it getting worse or better? What? But then they
Who am
both
I? Why do I exist? Yeah.
gotten like twisted up into each other. Did I say the word twisted?
Twisted up. Huh?
Whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah. So yeah,
We've
it's kind of
established it's not evil, right?
it's not evil, but
Okay.
there is some manipulation.
Yeah.
But that's manipulation with everything.
But that's not the tarot of the cards pumping out the evil.
Right.
That's the people.
That's the people and their
That's the
intention,
source
right?
of the evil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the cards.
Or their manipulation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just have to. I mean, I have found it very helpful for me. I pull cards. I say, how can I feel better about a certain situation? And I pull cards, and it's like there's an answer there. I mean, it's like, oh, I should just face it full on and take a little bit out of it and see what is gold in there, and then enjoy that little bit of it, and then move on. So for me, it has been helpful. I don't pull cards every day, but
right.
If you ask the question for yourself, and it gives you just ideas, and sometimes it's all about metaphor, and sometimes it just kind of speaks to your subconscious.
I don't do that, but I mean, I won't say I haven't done that, but I think everything you just said is kind of goes with that other concept where you've given yourself a little self-love and you've become mindful.
Right. Yeah.
You've paused. You've let go of the rat race or whatever you got going on. And it may not necessarily be that it's the tarot, but as a tool, it helps you to.
Yeah. And then there's that whole synchronicity aspect to it, the tarot.
Oh, it's uncanny.
Where it's uncanny. Like, you pull cards or random cards, we're going to talk a little about shuffling and the ritual and all that stuff that surrounds, we all develop our own rituals, or a lot of people do. And then all of a sudden you're like, you're thinking you have a boyfriend or something, you're thinking about a man, and then all of a sudden you start pulling all these love cards, and it's like, wow, this must be, the relationship. Must be the guy I'm going to marry or something, because you're pulling all these, the hearts and the lover's card and all this. And then you think, then that's the answer. And then then you're like, okay, this is, and like you never see the guy again or something. I don't know. But that magical thinking is part of pulling cards. Of course, the magical thinking, you can just fantasize, and it's magical thinking too.
Right.
But
right.
you have to be careful with that, because
don't see them as answers.
Yeah.
Unless that really, really resonates and makes sense and works out for you. I wouldn't just go in and want, okay, that's what it says, that's what's going to happen.
Exactly.
You just threw free will out the window.
Right.
Well, you altered your free
choice, all that stuff.
You would be altering it based on some pieces of paper with really nice pictures on.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times when you go for readings, you really know the answer yourself. Like it says, how can I get this job? And it says, learn about the company, put your best foot forward. I mean, this could be the cards, you see that in the cards, but it's actually, you see it in your head already.
Because it was already there. It was already there. It was already there. And part of that reading is you getting them to bring it up, get it out in the open. You may not even know about it. It's not like you went into their brain and, oh, I see the answer. It's not like that, but they work through it. It's kind of an
Right.
art to that. I don't think anybody talks about that enough, probably because they don't do that many in-person readings, but there are some out there. I shouldn't keep saying that
The
all the
in-person
time.
readings?
I think that's part of, to me, a critical part of what makes it useful is that you're there with somebody. Now, maybe there's other ways to interact that I haven't explored yet, but I don't think just me filming a video of me flopping cards on the table.
Yeah, and you notice that now with, I mean, they do have readers like, like
I'm
in
not hating
fairs
on
and
them.
festivals and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you look at them online, the readers, they're just throwing cards down. There's just like, this is for everybody who's watching. It's like, how can this pertain to everybody who's
And I'm
watching?
not hating on those. I mean, maybe,
Right.
there's more to existence than I can possibly know, more than life. But
Yeah, sure.
I suspect that whatever's laying there on that table may not be for me.
Right.
It might be
And some of
more.
it's so general, a lot of it's real
Yeah.
general too. And then what the
But
good,
they enjoy doing it. They
yeah,
certainly, most of them I've watched seem to enjoy doing it. Gosh darn, they seem to repeat it enough. They must enjoy it, right? It's
right.
not easy to make. Okay, it's kind of easy, but it's not really that easy to make a video, right? You gotta upload
Well,
it. Some
you
of
get
them
a,
edit. That
yeah.
went badly. Edit the devil card out of there. Stuff like that. You got to do a little work, a little
Hmm.
bit. You got to be consistent. So
Yeah.
they must get something from it themselves, or why would they continue to do it other than Patreon or whatever, however they're
Well,
making it.
they're making some money, but I think the ones that are, all in, I think they believe in what they're doing.
Right.
Although I think a lot of good readers, I mean, I think they're good readers because they're good talkers.
Oh
They
yeah.
talk a good game, and they say so much in like 3 sentences that the one who's getting the reading will pull out what's meaningful to them.
If they
In
can.
other words,
If they
yeah,
can. If it's a stream of consciousness, you don't stand half a chance. Let me go back and play that on half speed or something.
yeah.
For
But I think they
me,
may pick out little pieces of what they say and then make it germane to them. They may
right,
just
that
forget about most of
that's
what they're
true.
saying, but just pick out a few
That's
things.
because I can't remember it all too. They're
Yeah.
going to pick out. But for me, it always seemed like the best part, a good reader, this is me hyping myself, but I have no reason to hype myself. I'm not selling anything. But, but, but for me, the best reader was the one who listened more than they talked, especially if they paused sometimes. They got hung up on something.
Yeah, I think you're right
That's
there.
the best one. They get stuck. They start out with that stream and then they're almost like they got something.
Right.
I don't know what they got because they're not telling us since they clammed up for a minute or something. But I think that listening aspect, if you want to call yourself, they should maybe rename it. I'm not a reader anymore. I'm a listener with cards. I listen with cards and try to get it
Yeah,
up
that's a
and
good
out from
point,
you.
Chris. Yeah, because I think the ones that just talk a lot. I mean, I say they're good readers, but they're just throwing so much at you that they're just hoping that you pick out whatever you want and then makes them look good.
They're just,
But I think
it's almost like they're fanning all the books they've read.
right.
It's almost
Yeah.
like a bibliomancy kind of thing where they're
Uh-huh.
just seeing, there's 4 or 5 cards here and they're seeing 6 or 7 books and they're going through all of those meanings. I'm not saying they memorized them, but they're working their way through all those meanings, hoping that some light turns on over there in that dim bulb that's paying for the reading. They're sitting there like this, bing, oh, I got that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's exactly. So when I said the good readers, I mean the good, maybe the charlatans are, good
Well,
talkers.
okay, well, to be fair, when they do talk, and some of them do it very well because they're orators. They're good at
Right.
talking. They're storytellers, which is
Hmm.
key for some of these people because sometimes you'll hear the tarot as a story. There's
Right.
books about writing tarot based on pulling cards and making a story, which you
Right.
could probably do since you
Yep.
write books.
Hmm.
But I can't do that. Maybe I can make up a story. I tried to your video earlier today.
Oh yeah.
I tried to do that because you put out the 10 wands, right?
Hmm.
I had a completely different thing going from what you had going.
But
And
that's okay.
That
That's
would
okay.
probably happen with a lot of people.
Right.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because it is very individual. It's a very
Right.
individual experience.
There's just
So it's not blanket, you know, it's not for, you know, one reading doesn't fit all. It's all,
right.
it's very unique.
So irregardless of divination or fortune telling or fixing your life, it's just a fascinating, kind of cool thing that it happens in 78 little thin pieces of possibly paper, mostly plastic.
Yeah, yeah.
And some
Yeah,
art.
exactly.
And it's good to have art in your life, right? See,
right.
I'm trying to anti-Catholic Church thing here,
Mm-hmm.
but they're mostly going after divination, mostly going after seeing what's to come instead of letting it come.
Right, right.
And allowing them to, you know, have faith in us. We'll get you there instead of having some faith.
Well, see,
in
advocating control. I mean, people. If you want something to happen, you make it happen. You know, you work towards it. You make your dreams come true. Cards aren't going to do it.
For the most part, there might be.
I mean, you may not make it, but at least that's how you start. You have to go in that direction.
There might be people who definitely need some help out of certain situations.
Yeah, it could, and it is supported for a lot of other, you know, issues, getting through a difficult time. And that would be, Chris, what you said, you know, talking to someone, just being with someone, you know, looking at the cards with that
I think
person.
it makes a difference unless that other person's just sitting there constantly doing this, judging you.
Yeah, right, judging you. Yeah.
If they're not, and not judging what you came from and what you're doing, then I think that's important. I think that's cool if you can do it. Some people may not be comfortable. Their tolerance level for other people is not high, and I get that. That's fine.
And I think when I work with someone, it's always about, you know, it's about the question. I you know, what do you want? You know, what do you want to know about? I mean, what's your concern? What are you? And so you get the person to talk more and to explore what they're there for. And it's really just, it is a conversation. And I know when I've had people, they say, well, this is like a counseling session. I mean, it's only because we're talking together and you know, the cards are just like the medium that we're using, but you know, there's a lot more going on with that.
I guess just if I was to judge a reading by anything, I think it would be a great one if they talked more than I did.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Because they're the ones that actually have the answer, or need to find the answer themselves.
They have the problem and the answer.
Yeah,
the problem and the answer.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I didn't get anything out of it, but they're seeking something.
Right.
Right. Some people.
And you're like a sounding board. You're like a sounding board, and you're not judgmental, and you're not throwing your own crap on it. You're not, you know, you're not putting your own spin on it. You're staying back. You're holding back. You're just encouraging them to explore what's going on and what they could do.
And the cards might help. The art.
And they could, and the cards are, for me, cards are metaphoric. I mean, I could look at a card and I'll see something, and then I'll say, oh, I know what that means, you know, and you see that in this recognition of someone I'm working with, a client, that I'll say, well, what does this card mean to you? And they'll look at it and they'll say, I don't know. And then they'll look at it and they'll say, oh, I know what that means. You know, they're starting to make the card just bring something up in their mind that all of a sudden makes sense.
A little off topic, but
yeah.
Will you ever be doing remote readings? Would you ever consider remote readings?
I haven't done any. I don't know, because I do.
I mean, somebody asks you for a reading and you do a reading and you just put a unlisted video on YouTube. Would you ever do that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought about it, but I haven't done it, and I don't know that I would do it.
Would you think it would work well if you could rig up your like a 2-camera thing? Would you think it would work better this way, where you use Zoom and you can see the person?
If you're more, I think that's a better idea.
That's a little closer. A little closer to almost in person.
Right. I mean, that would make better sense than just
smell you or sense your aura or any of that kind of stuff, unless you have a fancy new Aura camera. I can't sense any of that stuff.
Right.
But this is closer. This is almost
Yeah, when you're
doable
live
for
like
me.
this.
Yeah, almost doable for me. I think
Wow.
we may have
You
just
may have,
started a trend.
oh my
Right.
goodness.
Yeah. If anybody watches this, we may have opened the door.
Oh, yay.
The flood of Zoom. Then Zoom says, no more tarot.
So
So,
you'd have to figure out how to work your well, you have so many. You could
well,
have
I
the two
can.
people, and then you'd have, or you could put things on the screen, which we
That's
may do right now, actually.
yes. Oh yeah, we were gonna. This is a part of
We had,
tarot's
yeah, we had.
evil.
He had a. There are some cards in tarot that are known as, sort of dark cards, and so we're gonna look at them just for fun. Why not?
Okay.
If you don't know tarot, you might find it interesting.
Since we're still on evil, but just so you see that it was based on an actual cards that I pulled, I stuck them on this board. I don't know how good that's showing up, but it probably isn't. So I'll show you. I'll switch to a screen share.
Yep.
Which we're not sure if it works yet, but
we'll see.
We're trying.
The first time we're doing this screen share.
So here we go.
He's such a whiz at this. He's so good.
I know. I'm really something. So here are the ones that I've personally. She might have more. I should have asked ahead of time to add.
Now, these are sort of the classic evil cards.
Yeah, you see the devil card, right? Because these are from my granny's deck, so they're not going to have numbers and names, but I'll tell you. And I'm assuming you see the cursor, right, Linda?
Yep, I do.
That's the devil card, and of course, it's wrong in many ways because you got a horned goat devil dude, and he's got two people chained up, and they got their genitalia kind of hanging out, and they got tails. Somebody has tails. They look like tails. So it's wrong in a lot. In fact, his tail's kind of being caught on fire by the devil with that torch there.
Yeah. So that's a pretty scary card.
It is
for a lot of people
when it comes up.
Yeah, it's known as the addictions card.
That's one way.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it, but and so it is kind of a dark card, but like any card that you pull, you can learn from it. Right. Like addictions, people have addictions, but then they get over their addictions. They address their addictions. They move on from their addictions.
But just because it's the devil and it, that's going to be the people who have experienced some religion. They're just, that's horrible. And then there's the Tower card, the next one, where people, some bolt of lightning has knocked the crown off the tower and people are being thrown to the ground. They don't look happy, joy.
Right. And that's another card that people are, tarot readers, some of them, the ones that are, maybe, I don't know, charlatans, you got the Tower card. Oh, damn, something terrible is going to happen to you. You better watch your step.
Of course, something bad could happen if you get the Sun card. I mean,
exactly.
Bad things happen. Then there's the Death card, which of course is not a good, happy thing to get, depending on how you look at it. Could just be transformation or whatever, but
right. Mm-hmm.
But these are ones that I pulled out because I have been told over the years that they're evil. They're associated with evil. The same thing with the Wheel of Fortune, although they look different in different decks because you got the snake, you got this impish looking thing here on the side that's red, and you got a person head on a cat body, so like a sphinx with a sword. So I can see their point. And then here is the Seven of Cups.
Yeah.
And you can see it looks like a magician doing something magic. There's a little skull on that one cup, again with the snake, right? And something that looks dragon-like. So magic's, that's not a good thing. So that's kind of evil.
There's another thing with the snakes, snakes imagery. Well, a lot of people hate snakes. So the minute they see a snake, they freak out. And then, then there's the snake in the Bible. That's a terrible thing. Yeah, but in a lot of other cultures, in Egyptian culture and other cultures, the snake is transformation. A snake is life. In the Caduceus, I think that's the medical thing.
Right. Yeah, two snakes entwined, right?
Yeah, and that's signifying health. So, some of this stuff is, because of your religion or how you were brought up is like, oh my, this is really bad.
Right. So far we've seen two snakes. There's a snake on the Wheel of Fortune and a snake in that cup. Here comes another snake, which is sometimes hard to see, on the Lover's card. it's wrapped around that tree with the fruit on it.
Yeah, it's kind of like an Adam and Eve kind of thing.
Yeah, and again, it's
and
kind of bad because there's something that might resemble nudity, kind of.
Right.
But so I've heard that one called, and this looks like murder here, and
yeah, murder, overkill, to say the least. That's the Ten of Swords. It's a famous card that they talk about. Everyone talks about. Mostly every deck has a very similar type of picture where the person is just stabbed to death. Yeah.
Right. So that could, I guess, be seen as evil. Then here's the Eight of Swords, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A little trap.
Bound, gagged,
tortured, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
She definitely can't see, but she might be able to see. It's hard to tell. She, he, and definitely kind of loosely bound looking in the drawing anyway.
Yeah.
And then one person told me here on the Five of Pentacles that, here are these, that it's evil because these people are simply ignoring the church behind them.
Wow.
Where they could go and they could receive help, at least in salvation, possibly.
Yeah, because they're not saved. They're really
they're stuck doing this, what they're doing. Crutches and no shoes on her feet, out in the snow. Maybe
out in the cold. Yeah.
Right. So those are the cards that I pulled out but you can make a case for a lot of them, but
right.
I think I've heard something about every card over the years, but these are the typical ones, especially Death Tower and Devil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
but now when you read these cards, I mean, you can spin them to be positive as well.
You can. You may not have to spin so much, really. I mean, we all have failures in life. Sometimes failures lead to wonderful things.
Right.
They lead at least to hopefully, to at least some sort of growth in your person, because you got to get back up.
Yeah. And the cards are also, and when you read tarot, you don't read one card. You really usually read them in there's many cards on the table.
Right.
So you're never stuck with like, oh, you pulled the tower and that's all you have. And it's like, oh, you asked a question, you got the tower and game over, That's not how it works. There's always a series of cards.
At least 7 to 10 or something. Maybe more nowadays. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm done sharing. I can go back to us.
Very good. That was awesome.
Smooth. Yeah, and I'm not sure it got recorded, but we'll find out, won't
we? Yeah, we'll find out when it goes live.
So next we were going to go and talk about, we're done with evil. So I think we're going to talk about his tarot parlor game. Well, I didn't make an image of this, but in this book called The Tarot by Alfred Douglas, and there's a deck that goes along with this book. I have it. I've shown it. Let's see. It's a Penguin book. I think it's still available. I'm not sure, but I think I'm looking for a publication date. I'm not finding one, so I probably wrote it on the top. Came out in 1972, but I got it in a library sale in the year 2000. Anyway.
So let's see the cover, Chris. Let's see what the cover.
Oh, sorry. There's the cover. Okay. This is the older one. I think the newer one is a bit bigger, but it's almost word for word, page per page the same, because I have both.
Oh, so there's a newer version of that book.
A little bit bigger. The print's bigger.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's the same. And in the back, in chapter 10, like page 216, there's the game of Taroko or Tarachi, right there. And it tells you how to play it. I can link to this book, and let's see how many pages. So it goes on for a while. So I guess it's not the easiest of games to master. It's about
that's what we were talking about at the beginning. Yeah, the history. It was Taroko in Italy, I think.
In the 15th century, there were frescoes in Milan, and some family named Bezique, Bezique. They had a bunch of games, and kind of there's a relationship there, kind of to Pinochle, if you've ever played.
Oh yeah, I played Pinochle.
Okay. But anyway, it's an honest to goodness game that you can play. But I've seen other versions that don't match this. So like any game, you can change it a little bit.
Right. Especially things mutate over years; they change. That was
So
1500.
so even if supposedly in the history of tarot it started out as this game, it was probably a simple thing that they did repeatedly, and maybe over time people noticed other things going on with it, that uncanniness you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, the synchronicity or something that
Yeah,
happened.
and then they added the pictures, and you're like,
Yeah,
there's
there's
a
actually
little
always
meaning
been,
here.
yeah, I think there's always been divination. I mean, always
Yeah,
in
it's
cultures, there's always been divination.
our
So
human.
maybe that was picked up at some point
Probably at the
to
very
this guy.
least, maybe like if we went back a ways, maybe there was somebody in your tribe who just kind of caught on to exactly where the antelope were going. And he's able to say, antelope's going to be over there tomorrow. And you're like, damn, that's cool. There's antelope over
He's
here.
smart.
Yeah, well, I'm going to pay attention to him, give him his own hut. Give him his own hut on the outside of town. Keep it on the
Yeah.
outside of town. Because he's a little different. Well, let's keep him over there, but let's keep him around because we like antelope. They're really
Yeah.
tasty. Something like that probably happened. People always
Mhm.
wanted to know. We're humans. We're
Always are
concerned.
curious about the future. I mean, that's just what we
We
wonder about.
worry and we're concerned about things. We're just,
Right.
that's what we are. So that's all I had for parlor game. I'm not sure what.
So yeah, parlor games are, I mean, I think it's a fun parlor game if you're not going to take it too seriously. You could just, if you have a group of tarot people together, you could probably have some fun. I mean, I have this home study group, and it's just fun pulling cards, asking a question, and then everyone kind of read the same, help the person figure it out or work with, just kind of have fun with it.
Again,
so I think,
a point
of course, as a parlor
conversation.
game, it's not like, it's playing war or something where okay, well, you can teach someone how to do it in like 5 minutes. With the tarot, it's there's 78 cards and they all have meanings, and it's it's a little more difficult. But I think it could be a good parlor game. I mean, with people that know what the tarot is, and they could make up their own. You could do all kinds of stuff with the tarot.
I'm sure that may have been how some of it became
Came out,
eventually a system.
Yeah.
There's some consistency there. You see the lover's card, and anyway.
Yeah.
So that's all I had for parlor game.
Okay.
What about tarot? Is ritual and reading tarot important?
Well, a lot of people swear by their rituals. How many times they shuffle, what do they have on their table?
The fact that they calm and focused on the question.
In the prayers beforehand, which maybe not bad idea. I don't know, but there is a lot of ritual. I mean, a ritual in church is also just trying to get you in the mood. It's just, I mean, there is
ambiance.
Yeah, and there is a point to ritual. It just kind of prepares you.
Darken the room.
Exactly. It just kind of prepares you for a certain state of mind.
Like
or something.
This, we can darken the room.
Yes.
Have our candle lit.
There you go.
Have our candle lit. If it looks like a candle, it's a real candle. It just won't move for some reason. But
you're not reading, but yeah.
But that's kind of.
Yeah. So a lot of readers, they have their own rituals. Now, what kind of bothers me is like when people say, "No, you're supposed to riffle shuffle 7 times, then cut them twice, and then do just the regular shuffle." I mean, some people have this. If you have your own ritual, it's one thing, but if you're listening to other people and telling you what some people are telling other people what to do, that just seems kind of over the top.
To share a bit of my grandmother from a long time ago, she would have just put them all over this kitchen table, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just all out there, maybe schmoozed around a little bit, but not like so deliberately. And it would be more like her or something deciding which ones to pick.
Gotcha.
She mostly did something like a Celtic cross. And then she would pluck those out and put them on the table where the person was sitting.
Okay.
Or just bring them with her and somehow get them over there to show them, right?
Right.
But I never saw her riffle shuffle, overhand shuffle,
right.
waterfall.
So she did that.
Shuffle.
There's a name for that water thing, or
it just spread them out.
There's a name for that. There's a word for that.
And I've encountered, and there was a reader where I was doing readings for 13 years who spread them out in an arc.
Right. I've seen that.
Made it even. And then they did something similar where they were just like, and it's kind of random. Maybe they weren't being random enough.
They're just putting their hand over it, like
yeah,
running
they're
their
just
hand over
putting their
it.
hand in and pull that out, and then
Mhm.
put it down and pull it out. And they just kept going. I don't even know if they had a fixed number, but it looked like it's somewhere 7 to 11, something like that.
Right.
And do it
So
that
yeah,
way.
people develop their own way of doing it. And I don't know if there's a right or wrong way. It's just whatever you're
I don't
comfortable
think
with.
it's important to riffle shuffle, or overhand shuffle, waterfall shuffle. I don't think it's so important that you have to do it 7 times. Because if, for example, if you take a regular poker deck, what is that? 52 cards.
Right.
Take those cards. If you do it perfectly, which is possible with practice, if you do it perfectly and you shuffle that 7 times, guess where? You start out in order, you end up in order.
Wow.
Right,
7 times?
7 times. I
Wow.
forget what it is for a tarot deck, but obviously there's going to be a number that causes it to be the same thing. I'm going to have to try that and practice. So you could end up right back where you started. So if somebody spread it out and they're less than truthful, they would know where they're putting their hand and what's going to come up. Like they could pluck out the devil card. They could pluck out the tower card.
Just like you do with playing cards.
Yeah, you can manipulate the deck.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Well, that's what, that's where the, the barkerness or the,
yeah, right. The performer. Yeah.
The performer, can take over with that.
The mesmerizing a little bit.
Yeah. Or like someone comes to see me and like, I shuffle, but I don't have any sets shuffle or anything.
No.
But some people have, they have this whole ritual and the person's just standing there, well, wow, this person really knows what they're doing.
It adds to the experience. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or it might.
There's nothing wrong with that, I guess, as long as you know that. I mean, I don't know.
Right. But there's no magic number, and there's no way you have to do it. You don't have to light a candle, and you don't have to have a 20-pound clear quartz crystal that you extracted from the Amazon in Brazil.
Did you say 20 pounds?
That's 20 pounds of clear quartz crystal. Yeah, that's a big one. You don't have to. If you do, then fine, put that out there. Right. If it helps you get in the mood, if it helps them get in the mood, that's fine. But is it necessary?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Now the people that do that may feel it is necessary, but it's a very individual. It's a very individual thing.
I could take Linda right now out in that old rundown shed behind my house and do whatever I do. She'd probably prefer to sit down on something. I could do a reading out there.
Oh, a reading. We're talking about reading.
Gosh.
Like what?
but I could do it. I just lift the lid on the back of my car, right? Just open the hatch and do it right there.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I think probably your best. I mean, you can't say good readers, but I think a lot of readers that are just, they're not into. I mean, they're just not pompous about it. They're not manipulating anything. They're probably just solid people that, those are the ones that probably get the best. Them. Yeah. Right. The best readers that, they probably get the best readers.
Because the ones I've paid for, there's almost always a candle going. There's going to be some crystals, which I have to remember to not call rocks. There's going to be some rocks around. There might be something that resembles a leaf from somewhere.
Yeah.
Some sort of nature, an acorn, right? Possibly a squirrel will run by. But then they got the fancy tablecloth, like some sort of cloth. And that's all great. That's fine, right? It looks nice. It looks really good.
Yeah, it's very appealing.
It has an aesthetic, just like the cards have an aesthetic appeal.
Right.
So I get that.
Ooh, they get you in with the aesthetic.
But I don't need it. There's a video that I had and still have. Supposedly the guy is son of somebody. I'll remember in a second. Charles Manson.
Oh, yeah.
And he does it like right beside one of those outdoor John things. What do you call it? He's right.
Porta potties?
Yeah, he's right beside a porta potty. My God, those cards will never. He lays them out. He's like, one of those.
He did tarot.
He does tarot readings, and you can ask.
A little evil. I don't know.
Maybe
he was a little evil. I don't know.
He seems like a nice fella. I'm not sure why he's always outdoors, but maybe he's homeless.
Well, these are the people that are manipulators. These are the, all kinds of people that manipulate. things.
You can email him for a reading. I haven't done it yet because I have a slight fear about being discovered and having somebody at my door. But other than that,
now you're talking about Charlie Manson's dead, right? I mean, you're talking about someone else, or
and he looks a lot like him.
He looks like the guy. Oh, he looks like Charlie Manson.
And he gave some proof in one video. I watched two videos. One was, is he the son of, right? And the next one he goes, well, it just happens to be that he's a fabulous tarot reader. He was okay. He does the arc thing. He shuffled maybe once or twice, and then he got over to the porta potty because the picnic table wasn't big enough. So he got on the ground beside the porta potty.
You got to go where you got to go, man.
Yeah, apparently. And he made a big arc out of the card. He was real particular about it. They had to be.
Is he the son of Charlie Manson? Yeah. He is actually the son of Charlie Manson.
Well, it sounds
that's what
like it. It sounds like he talked to him. He had some recording.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's not something that I would spout to the world. But just because you're the son of somebody doesn't make you.
No, that's true. That's true.
And his reading was okay. His cards were.
I thought you were talking about Charlie Manson himself.
Oh,
that he did readings. That's where I was like, evil,
I wouldn't get one from him.
No.
But it was okay. It was definitely, I'm not sure about the porta potty thing and that being the best place for ambiance.
Yeah.
Hurry up. You might want that to go quicker and it might not be so sanitary there.
Yeah.
He had 2 or 3 decks to choose from. And he has an email and you can ask him for. Now people are probably going to ask me for the email for son of Manson readings. He'll explode on YouTube and become. He's not him doing his videos. It's somebody who just found him.
Oh, okay.
Started up a conversation, and I guess that's one of his talking points is that I'm son of.
Wow.
So it was interesting. It was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I still have.
You meet a lot of interesting people in the community. It's a very large community because it's all over the world too. It's not just in the small area. It's everywhere. It's all over the world.
Well, in 13 years that I did it, the vast majority of people would have been Korean women.
Wow, they came to see you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, yeah.
Vast majority.
So yeah, I mean divination. I mean that whole thing is. I mean it's a
worldwide.
It's in every culture.
Yeah, it's a people thing. It's a people thing. Like scratching, it's a people thing. Eating, people thing. There's a lot of people things. I think that need to wanna know is a people thing.
Mm-hmm.
Call it divination, call it fortune telling, call it what you want.
Yeah.
You just want to know. So is that all we had to say about ritual and tarot reading?
Is there more going on here? Do we have anything else to say?
I said it's not so important. I'm not sure if you agreed or not.
It's not important. It's important to the reader and some of the some people who read want to have that whole ambiance set up so they feel like something they're getting that person
aesthetically pleasing. It's nice to look at. It's art.
And then I think some people that go to see someone want that too because they're paying money and they want to get it's a show. It's showtime.
It's a performance art. It can be a part performance art.
Right. Yeah.
Not that it's not helpful. Not that it's not. You don't come away with something.
It cheapens it but I mean.
For me, doing it by a porta potty or in the back of my car, kind of like, is this worth $0?
Yeah.
It's just depending on the experience they have.
So what do you think, Chris? What do you think about? I know your answer, but I just want to hear more about it. When you worked for 13 years.
Well, we can't call it work. I didn't get paid.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Now, what about donations and what about getting paid? What do you think about that situation?
Well, the lady it was her place, right? Some old Victorian house, and it was nice. And we kind of did the aesthetic thing to a degree.
Oh, yeah.
So it was expected, right? Mm-hmm. It's part of the thing. But her mother had charged, but she decided no. If they want to donate something, that's fine. But she would prefer that each of us individually didn't take money, but we know people did because these readings were recorded. There was a camera up, and then
Wow.
audio in the tables. Yeah. It's hard to
Wow.
match them up. That's what I want to show sometime on my other channel, is one of those types of readings, because I haven't found anybody else that's doing it like that. So
Wow.
I'd want to show that, but it's getting permission, even though everybody did sign a form that she could do whatever she wanted to with the audio and video,
Wow.
because she's not charging them. And they did sign, and they were
Why would she
aware.
do that? For advertising, or why would she do that?
Why did we record them? Because she
Yeah.
didn't. It had started with her mom, but she didn't trust the readers. She
Oh.
didn't want any of that manipulation. She didn't want any of that. Well, you know, we were almost there, but I can't. I'm not feeling that I can solve your problem. Maybe we could work something out off to the side.
Uh,
Come to my house, meet at the library,
yeah.
$1,000. What? That's
Yeah.
what she did. She didn't trust that because apparently it happened before. I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
it happened a lot, but it had happened. Plus, both she and I like to go over them. It's like, well, Dorothy there, it's kind of all about Dorothy. Is she really trying to help these people, or what?
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe we get rid of Dorothy. So it helped that. And then she corrected me several times because she liked it less about me talking to them and interacting with them, and more about card meetings.
Oh, okay.
And I just kept working my way around that table to the other side to get away from them totally.
Right.
Eventually, she came around and gave up on the whole idea due to my stubbornness, possibly. I don't know. But, and people were coming back. They were requesting me and a couple other people. So she knew that was, they
It was
liked it.
working. They
It
were
was
coming
working,
back.
but it
Yeah.
wasn't about the money. I mean,
Right.
what donations she did get, I guess in a way I got paid, because sometimes my kids were there, wife was there. She'd buy us pizzas and whatever he wanted to eat that evening. So I guess in a way we got paid, but
Right.
most of it, because people usually left like $20, $40, something like that, sometimes more. She gave it to some place that did suicides, and then they were weird about suicide things. So she started giving it to help animal rescue.
Oh, nice. So she was donating a lot of it.
Right. She took it all and put it over there because she had already inherited whatever she inherited from her mother, who had been gouging people for her entire life.
Was she a reader, the mother?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
The Madame Blautsky kind of reader.
Uh-huh.
Where
Wow.
she can sit across the table, go wonky on you, and know everything about you. She was big time performer.
Uh-huh.
Like you're saying, Barker. Is that what
Right.
you're saying?
Yeah.
She was
entertainer.
She revved it up, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And charged much more than some of the others in the area. There were others around DC that did, because that's where I was, near Washington, DC.
So do you think people should get paid when they do readings?
I think it's fine. I can't do it. I won't be able to do it.
Right.
Well, one, I'm old, so how much longer does he have? But I just wouldn't feel good. I couldn't do it. You're giving me money for this? No.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people feel that way. I mean,
they do, and I'm okay that they do it.
Don't want. I mean, donation is sometimes, because you are spending your time. You can give. They just have a donation cup around.
But I can see that people it's a business. They make some of their living that way. That's fine.
Right.
I'm not passing judgment.
Right. Yeah.
But I can't do it. I can't.
Yeah. There are state rules. I mean, I live in New York State. I mean, it is, you have to put a posting wherever you're doing tarot readings that's for entertainment purposes only.
Oh.
They don't want you giving people, health advice or other kinds of advice. They don't want you overcharging. They don't want you doing that kind of stuff.
And
I may
have gotten that from my grandmother. The only thing I ever saw her take was food, like pies and cakes and other things that were probably going to kill us, and sometimes tasted bad, like casseroles. What's in this? Squirrel? You never know what's in these things.
Oh, yeah.
But they just had to give something. Like they felt that she had helped them or somehow been there for them over the years, and they just they just couldn't do it. They just couldn't. It's just like, no, 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 no. They just
Yeah.
had to do it. And said, okay, we'll eat the squirrel casserole or whatever's in it.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing about, to go back to, well, it's not evil. Hopefully we convince you that it's not evil, but it's a wonderful thing to learn. And I've gotten great enjoyment from tarot in the short time I've been involved with it. So, I mean, it's more fun than a lot of things that I used to do. I mean, like tennis, I wasn't very good at tennis. Better off doing tarot. So, because it's interesting, and it's historical, it's art. It is sort of,
there's a lot to it.
There's a lot to it.
But I wouldn't recommend giving up some exercise program for tarot, because shuffling really doesn't use many muscles unless you've come up with some really bizarre new way to shuffle, standing on one leg and flipping it over your back. I don't think you get a lot of exercise from tarot. Because we were going to talk about shuffling.
It's also fun. I mean, it's fun to do at a party and have people, So
and
don't take it too seriously.
It's currently, I think, cool. So hop on the cool train and get
That's what we are, man. That's
get
us.
yourself a deck. You don't even have to get a deck. There are websites that will show you cards. So you can get an app for your phone or iPad. There's a lot of ways to approach it. You can just go online and pull up some cards. Sometimes they even teach you what they think the meaning might be.
Right.
There's just a lot of ways to come to it.
When I started tarot not too long ago, I just put a notification locally in my Facebook page to do a home study. There's no charge. It's like, you want to learn tarot with me? And I got people coming to my house. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, instead of like, I don't know, sure they're going to have any kind of sports games next year anyways, even do it at the library or something, get people together, and, you'll find people that want to learn about it.
But stay and accept a good distance apart.
Right.
And don't touch the same card that anybody else touched.
Yeah, and wear your mask.
That card's your card.
Wash your hands.
A lot of things you got to do going forward, I suppose.
Especially with the cards, I guess, because they could get kind of nasty.
If you're doing in-person readings, be sure to put up your plexiglass in front of you.
Yeah.
In my case, I'd have to move it around as I come around the table, bring my plexiglass with me. I think that takes away a little bit of the in-person reading thing, but that's fine.
Well, hopefully that will eventually resolve itself in a couple of years. I don't know how long that's going to take. Anyway, so this was our talk. I mean, I don't know how long we've spoken for, but it seems like did we have anything else?
I don't think so. Maybe something about shuffling, but I think we covered that in there somehow.
Shuffling is however you want to shuffle. Now, the thing is, some of these cards are huge. Some of them are really big, and some are tiny, and the tiny ones are hard to shuffle too.
So if that bothers you, you can get the smaller ones. There's poker size. But you can also just type into YouTube search thing, right? Tarot trim. Whoa. There are people out there that'll show you umpteen different ways to cut your cards down to size.
You spend $60 on a deck of cards and then you cut them.
Then you put them under the guillotine or the scissors if you're steady Eddie or whatever. If you're able to keep your hands under control.
Yeah, there's a whole underground with tarot. There's the cards, the latest cards coming out. They do talk about reading, but a lot of times it's how you trim your cards,
collecting
the
them.
reprints of the cards, the different versions of the cards.
Right.
It gets crazy. It's gotten crazy for sure.
A lot of money flowing around, a lot of cards flowing around, a lot of flowing going on. Another thing people do, another people thing. They want to know what's coming, want to know what to do. They also get into things.
Yeah, the latest release is
little obsession going.
Now, what do you mean, the cards themselves or something else?
Or just collecting the cards, being in the cards, being with people who like the cards. It gets a little obsessive, or what are the word they use sometimes? Addiction.
Right, addiction with the cards,
But they change it into addiction.
Yeah, which almost has nothing to do with reading the cards. Like,
totally.
They're just talking about all the other ancillary aspects of the cards, which are kind of interesting.
But that may have been part of what caused an increase in the attractiveness to tarot. There's more to it than, yeah.
Anyway. Well, certainly the art, I think, like you were drawn to the art, so was I. The art.
Yeah, I didn't start anything after Rider-Waite-Smith, Marseille, and Albino, and what's the other one? Thoth. Until after 2017 when I saw the Marielle.
Oh yeah.
And then order. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of them I like. Some of them a lot of them I wouldn't use for a reading for somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, we both have a lot of decks, and how many would I really, really use? Maybe 20. I don't know.
I've gone through them a bunch of times because.
And you know them all. I mean, you know
because exactly my way of ordering helps. They're indexed, numbered, and quickly accessed.
Good
Unlike where it was just this mountain of decks. You go, I think I see it, and you pull one and 40 fall off. And you go, well, I kind of like that one now. Put this one back. It wasn't working for me.
Yeah. Then decks go out of print. And then they go up, and then they start climbing in price. Yeah, and then that's a whole other
that's an irk for me, that out of print thing. I don't like it.
Yeah, well, it happens, and some people, that's what they want. They want it to go out of print if they have the deck, because then it goes up in value. But then they don't want to sell it. I don't think you want to sell it because it might be, they're going to think they're going to make $1,000 off the deck. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, I got a sticking point on that. There's so many print-on-demand places. Just stick your art there. If somebody wants the deck, but that's my hang-up. That's a personal hang-up. So you think we got this one done?
I think we have this one done.
Well, I hope people comment. I'd like to hear your thoughts about Tarot is Evil. Is it a parlor game? Is it just a parlor game, maybe? And your thoughts on, what was the other one? Is ritual important around the tarot reading, or just around cards in general, even if they're just for yourself?
Right.
Do you really care? Is it a correct way to shuffle? Is it important how you shuffle? Does it matter? Is randomness a real thing? Is it just synchronicity? All these other things. I'd like to hear your comments. So
cool.
Hopefully.
I think that's a good way to end the program, or whatever we're doing here. So
show, yes.
Yeah.
So with that, I'll let Linda say goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
And I'll say peace. And here we go. Yes, next time.